Jason Voorhees can go straight to hell. And he does in the new Arrow Video edition of Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday in 4K UHD HDR. This is 1993's final installment in the Friday the 13th saga, and it is one that I never liked. I saw it when it first hit video and I thought it was terrible. I saw it again at the Mahoning Drive-In Theater in Lehighton, Pennsylvania during the annual Camp Blood event, I think last year. And I'm like, I'm going to give this movie another shot. It's been a long time, and maybe on the big screen, maybe, you know, it'll work better for me. Still didn't like it at all. So then when this new Arrow thing showed up, this new Arrow release, I was like, you know, the things we do for love. I'll watch it again. It's be maybe my fourth time seeing this movie. Maybe this time I'll like it more. And the answer is no, I still don't like this movie, but a lot of you do. And I will tell you all about what is on this thing. And it's a really good release. I will say that much. It is a really good release for fans of Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday, for Friday the 13th fans who like this movie, or people who just like really strange, hard left turns that film franchises may take in their autumn years, shall we say. So I'm going to go through the specs on the disc. I'll tell you about the movie too. I'm not going to tell you the whole story, but I'll tell you about the movie. So disc 1, it's a 2-disc set, this 4K set. Disc 1 is a 4K UHD version of the feature film as released, the R-rated theatrical cut, directed by Adam Marcus, I must say, with Stephen Williams, Erin Gray, yes, that Erin Gray, and Kane Hodder as Jason briefly in the film. It's 88 minutes, the theatrical cut. It is presented in English 5.1 and English 2.0 audio, and it looks great. Looks great in 4K. Film has never looked better. And I saw this initially on... I don't remember if I initially saw this on tape. I think it was initially on tape. And then later I saw the first DVD release of the unrated cut, which was loaded with extras. And then I saw it again theatrically just not that long ago, maybe a year ago on 35. And then on this nice 4K UHD disc. And I'm going to say I think I'm okay with the movie now. I think I'm all set. So the deal is something like this. This was the first Friday the 13th movie that was made once New Line got the rights to the series. And it is very atypical. The film starts off with a very typical hitting all the beats of Friday the 13th movie, young woman being stalked by Jason. And it's a really weird looking Jason, like his head is all like rubbery, bulbous, like his brain is swelling out and around the mask, but portrayed by Kane Hodder. It turns out, I'm not going to tell you the whole story, turns out it's like a sting operation on Jason, and out of nowhere, this woman is chased by Jason. Brief shower scene, she is chased by Jason, and then just when he's about to get her, all these lights come on, surrounding him with light, and black-clad SWAT team members, and they take him out. I'm not going to tell you the whole story. They blow him up. He gets blown up. Farm Film Celebrity Blow Up would certainly highlight this film. And the pieces of Jason are taken to some remote research lab in Ohio where the head scientist, for some reason, gets possessed by this ethereal spirit of Jason or something, picks up his heart and eats it, and then the rest of the movie is essentially The Hidden. Now, apparently this film was made without the filmmaker, the director, Adam Marcus, did not know about The Hidden, had not seen The Hidden when he made this movie, but it's essentially the same thing where the ethereal spirit of Jason passes from person to person who then becomes a zombified killing machine with this weird long, like, slug-like tongue that comes out. So in a sense, that kind of gives you a Night of the Creeps vibe at times too. And Stephen Williams plays this clad in black, don't look back and I love you, cowboy hat wearing, duster cowboy looking bounty hunter who finds and takes down infamous serial killers. So he's on the trail of Jason, and he knows all about Jason. Jason isn't just a man, he's pure evil, in the words of Sam Loomis. And that's basically the story here. So it's Jason working his way through this little community that is celebrating the death of Jason. Apparently Jason is like national news. There's some Inside Edition or America's Most Wanted kind of news magazine that is profiling Jason Voorhees. So apparently Jason Voorhees is very well known in this timeline, in this reality. And the local diner is having a Jason's Dead 2-for-1 burger special, and they serve Jason burgers. Not unlike the actual Blairstown Diner in Blairstown, New Jersey, where a lot of the original film was filmed. They lean into the Friday the 13th thing there, and they actually do sell slasher burgers and some Jason themed stuff, which is really cool. When in Blairstown, New Jersey, don't forget to stop at the Blairstown Diner. So it's really silly. It's really goofy. And what's really strange about this movie to me is it is a Friday the 13th movie. It is a Jason movie with really no Jason in it. You get a little Jason up front, so you get what you expect out of the Friday the 13th stuff up front. And then you have a whole lot of people trying to figure out what's going on and running from Jason, and small town youth trying to avoid being killed and stop the maniac. And who's the maniac going to be? Because he can look just like anybody, but they tend to look zombified and strange. And occasionally you'll see Jason, like somebody will walk past a reflective surface who is possessed by Jason, and you'll see the reflection of Jason in the glass or something like that. But really, overall, it's very strange. It is a very atypical Friday the 13th movie, and maybe that is something that some people like about this, that it's not just the same thing over and over again, but it is a really strange idea to, I'm going to give the fans what they want, and what they want is not to see the star of this franchise in the film almost whatsoever. So you do see him a little at the beginning, you see him a little later in the film as Jason, and it has a very, big gasp, shock-inducing ending for the time when it comes out that sort of sets up the next film that you would have seen Jason in at the time. But I don't like the movie. I don't like, overall, as you may know, not a fan of 90s movies overall. Of the aesthetic of pop culture in the 90s, I'm not really a fan of. There's great stuff from that decade. I lived through that decade. I went to the movies all the time. I had stuff I really enjoyed in the movies I very much loved from that decade. But overall, a lot of it I don't like, and this kind of falls into that with the look of the film and the fashion and the music and all that other stuff. But it is what it is, shall we say. So let's go into what is on this set, because for me, what is on this set, it also does feature Kane Hodder, not as Jason, in a cameo in the film, which is kind of interesting. What this set does, or what this set did, is what a lot of really good deluxe editions do for me, where I don't like the movie, but I have a really good time with the extras. And how much I enjoy the extras and how much I enjoy the personalities of the people who made the movie make me not judge the film as harshly while I'm watching the extras. Afterwards, if you ask me about Jason Goes to Hell, I'll say, oh yeah, that was terrible. But the extras are really great. So take all of that as just my personal opinion. If you like this movie, you're going to really like this disc. It looks better than that movie's ever looked before, and it's got a boatload of extras. It ports over a lot of extras from earlier editions, but then adds a whole bunch of new ones. So we'll go through those now. This is still disc 1, by the way, of 2. Introduction by director Adam Marcus. It's 13 seconds long. It's amusing, but it's 13 seconds long. Faces of Death, interview with special effects creator Robert Kurtzman of K&B. That's 17 minutes and very interesting. And a lot of these are done by Red Shirt Pictures, Michael Felsher's company, which does excellent work and has done its own feature-length documentary about the making of Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday, which is not included on this set. I guess it's just making the rounds now, and eventually will get its own physical media release. I don't know if some of this stuff is culled from the material for that huge documentary, or if these were done separately or what, but they're very high quality, and they utilize a lot of behind-the-scenes photos and footage and things like that. Undercover Angel, interview with actor Julie Michaels. She's the woman from the opening scene in the film. That is 12 minutes. Mixing It Up, interview with composer Harry Manfredini, who did the music for this film and for many, if not all, of the Friday the 13th films, including the very, very iconic original theme and echoey utterance that I'm not going to do right here. The Gates of Hell, interview with director Adam Marcus. This is 36 minutes. This is from the 2020 Scream Factory edition of the film. He's a great, funny guy who makes you really kind of like the film more in retrospect when you listen to his candor and his sincerity and what he was trying to do with this movie. His first film, how he was this gigantic fan of the Evil Dead films and actually worked some Evil Dead stuff into this movie. He said this movie's almost more like an Evil Dead movie, and he tries to tie the Evil Dead into the Jason mythos, the Voorhees mythos, which is pretty amusing. Apparently, if you don't really notice this when you're watching it unless you're very, very eagle-eyed, but he visited the set of Army of Darkness while this film was being shot. He was actually able to borrow the Necronomicon from Sam Raimi and use it in this movie. So it is kind of, I appreciate the cajones the guy had to take this film as far out as he did and turned it into almost an Evil Dead movie more than a Friday the 13th movie. Jason versus Terminator, an interview with Adam Marcus on growing up with the Cunninghams. As a kid, he was friends with Sean Cunningham, who created and directed the original Friday the 13th, and he talks about growing up with them and being on the set of the original Friday the 13th and how his life and theirs intertwined and how he was inspired to become a filmmaker, which eventually he was given a shot with this Friday the 13th entry from Sean Cunningham. That's 11 and a half minutes. That's also from the 2020 Scream Factory disc. Uber Jason, an interview with Kane Hodder on playing Jason Voorhees. This is really good. Kane Hodder seems to be a super nice guy. 28 minutes long. This is also from that 2020 Scream Factory release. Friday the 13th props. This is really more It says it's a tour of the props throughout the Friday the 13th franchise. This is only like a minute long. This is really kind of a promo, I believe, for a really high quality book that is photographs of the one person's collection, or the Friday the 13th Props Museum's collection. So it really is not in depth at all. It's glances of these things. It's a lot of pictures of somebody turning the pages in this book. It really feels like it's an ad for the book. Interesting to see this stuff, but it would have been more interesting if this was more in depth and not just an ad for a book, which does look like a cool book if you're a fan of these films. Additional TV footage, 12 minutes, 4:3 presentation, and it's got optional director commentary if you want to listen to it that way. Some redubbing of profanity for TV, which is kind of always amusing and interesting that they get the actors to do that themselves, and just scene extensions or scenes that just are not in the theatrical or maybe even the unrated version of the film. You get the theatrical trailer that's a minute and a half. You get TV spots. You get 3 from the U.S. that you get 7 from the U.S. that run about 3 minutes that are great quality. You get 5 from Canada that are 2.5 minutes and are pretty bad, kind of YouTube or lower quality. Stills gallery, 114 images. Poster and behind the scenes gallery, 40 images. And then we go to disc 2. Now, the way, I don't have one right next to me, the way I get these review copies are a clear, thin case, none of the commercial packaging, and on the disc it just says Jason Goes to Hell, disc 1, disc 2. So I didn't realize that disc 2 of this wasn't just a bonus disc or wasn't a Blu-ray copy, but it's actually the full unrated cut of the film, which most people agree is the better cut of the film. So on disc 2 is in 4K UHD, the unrated cut of Jason Goes to Hell. That runs 91 minutes versus the 88 minutes of the original. Much more gore. I get choked up when I talk about gore. Much more gore, and many say, including many of the people doing the commentaries on this disc, say that this is really the only way to watch the movie. And I agree. The unrated version is much better. I don't think it's a better movie, but it's a better viewing experience, because if you're watching a Friday the 13th movie, you're watching it for the kills, you're watching it for the gore, and there is some insane gore and kills in this version of the film. So if you, unlike me, if you get this set, I would recommend just popping in disc 2 to watch the feature and not disc 1, unless you have a strong allegiance to the theatrical cut, or you want to do a comparison at some point. So also this film, its extended cut, unrated cut, is presented in English 5.1 or English 2.0 with English SDH subtitles, which I believe the first disc the first disc does too. So both discs have the English SDH subtitles. Extras are just commentaries on this. You get a commentary. You get the introduction from director Adam Marcus. It's the same as on the first disc. It's that same 13 seconds of him being amusing. The commentary with film historians Michael Felsher and Steve Barton. You get a commentary with director Adam Marcus and author Peter Brack. And then you get a commentary with director Adam Marcus and screenwriter Dean Laurie. So I don't like this movie. I never liked this movie. I think it's not really very good, but I think the guy who made it, I think Adam Marcus, is really cool, really nice, and it makes me feel bad for saying I don't like the movie for how cool and nice this guy is, but I don't like this movie. If you do, this is an excellent addition to this film, and if you don't, you might be like me and watch this version of this release and be like, I don't necessarily love the movie that much more, but the extras and the behind the scenes were really fascinating, and this Marcus guy is a cool dude. So available now on 4K UHD in HDR from Arrow Video is 1993's Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday, which was not The Final Friday.